Today I'm going to talk about food waste apps. Hello everyone, my name is Harmony. If you're new to my channel, welcome, or if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. On this channel I talk about anything that springs to mind and is worth contemplating or discussing. The thing that I wanted to discuss today is the food waste apps, Olio and Too Good To Go. Now, I've had these for some time now. Olio I've only just started using probably in the last month or so, and Too Good To Go I've used on and off over the years, but not consistently. So Olio is a food waste charity where you can get food from, like free food from people that are giving it away, or if you become a volunteer you can also get you can pick up food from various shops and list it online, like on the app, for people to come and collect it from you. And it's normally things that are left over at supermarkets or some other kind of shops that you get. So the first collection that I did was a fair-sized collection from Boots. Boots it's a kind of pharmacy, but kind of sells other bits and pieces too. And the first time, as I say, the collection was actually pretty good size, but it was also the first time I listed anything substantial on there, on the app, and nobody collected anything. So I'm sad to say that all went to waste, which is what I would hope to have avoided. With it being sandwiches and wraps and that kind of thing, they all had use by date. They all had use by dates rather than best before. So of course I was not legally allowed to give it away after that date. I managed to give a couple of bits and pieces away to people that weren't on the app after that, who wanted to eat the stuff like the next day, which was fine, but most of it sadly not. I had a bit more luck with the Iceland collection that I did. That was a couple of pretty big bags. Having said that though, a lot of it still never got claimed. So a lot of it was salad, like lettuces and that sort of thing, which, yes, I managed to use some of it myself, but I also had to throw a lot of it out because nobody can use that amount of stuff before it goes off. And having said that though, I did freeze a couple of vegetable packs because nobody wanted those, and I thought, well, I can put those in, I don't know, a stew or a stir fry or something. And I also was going to do another boots collection, but on the day I was supposed to do that, I got a message through the app saying that there was nothing for me to collect after all. So, okay, fair enough. And yeah, so sometimes that happens. And as I say, sometimes people will, you only get the same ones that want things, although that might well just be because I've only listed things on there 2 or 3 times. There seem to be a lot of the same people that show up on there, which is odd because you would have thought that more people would be sharing, because there's actually a lot of people on Olio in my area, apparently. And yeah, the thing that struck me, given that it's things that the supermarkets would otherwise have thrown away at the end of the day, I thought to myself, well, clearly people are not buying the healthier options, because I ended up with things like lettuce and fruit and that sort of thing. And so clearly people are not buying it, but also they're not choosing to take it even when it's given away. So either people are not as interested in being healthy as they would like to make out, or they just don't know something. Like, what's going on there? Of course, that does exclude people that already grow their own food or do buy the healthier options. Just something that I noticed. Because all the stuff that people collected, apart from the occasional dip or the occasional packs of chopped apple, most of it was the meat products and the potato scones, those sorts of things. Yeah, so a bit of mixed feelings about that, but I am looking forward to doing more food collections at some point. Just at the minute I have a bunch of food in my fridge and in my freezer that I'm trying to eat my way through. So I'm waiting to clear that stuff before I go and put more stuff in. The thing that I also like about it is that, of course, if you don't manage to give everything away, or just as a general thank you, you're allowed to keep a certain percentage of it, of what you get. Normally that is about 10%, but some places say you can keep or share as much as you're comfortable with. So, of course, the only couple of downsides are really that you have to have a smartphone with the app installed, and also you do you do end up meeting the random people. Well, say meeting them. You can get around that by you can leave the things outside in, say, a bag or a box for people to collect. So then you don't actually have to interact with them at all if you would rather not do that, which I think is a great idea. Because mine have so far been the same people, one of whom I already know off Olio because they're a friend of mine. Well, I've just seen them directly, but yeah, you can do that, which I really like. The other app that I wanted to talk about, as I mentioned earlier, is Too Good To Go. This is an app that I also quite like. So you can get food for a lot cheaper at the end of the day from, say, supermarkets or cafes, restaurants, those kind of places, even bakeries. And so I say cheaper, it's considerably cheaper, like half to a third of the price of what you would normally pay if you were to buy the thing during the course of the day. I'll give you some examples. Morrison's Cafe, I paid about £4 for or £3.50, £4, something like that, for a couple of sandwiches and a cream cake once, which normally you would have paid around £7.50 for. Or once from Tim Hortons, I picked up a box of donuts, which normally you would pay £15 for, and again, I only paid about £4.99 for. I gave the donuts away because, well, I'm vegan and they are not vegan at Tim Hortons. Likewise with the sandwiches and cream cake from Morrison's. Somebody ate the sandwiches and then I gave the cream cake to my church, which they thoroughly enjoyed. I have also on one occasion picked up a bakery bag from Morrison's, which would have been fine, but because a lot of it's bread, you do have to use it up, and so I put some of the bread in the freezer and some of it in the bread box, but the ones in the bread box and some of the stuff in the freezer actually is sourdough loaves. I forgot about the big one that was in the bread box, and I looked in there a couple of days ago, and I was like, well, yeah, I had better throw this out because it is going rather moldy. Yeah, Trouble is, when you get something like a square sourdough loaf, I don't necessarily know what to do with it. Because you can't all that easily make sandwiches out of it. I suppose you can make toast with it, maybe, but it would be a bit narrow toast or a bit narrow sandwiches. Having said that though, I did use the majority of a crusty loaf with some stew, and I do have a big massive baguette in the freezer, which I might at some point, if I'm feeling creative, turn into a load of garlic bread, but when I'll have time to do that, I don't know. I also have another sourdough loaf in the freezer, and I may or may not have another crusty loaf, I can't remember. So yeah, again, it's one that I like, but also have some mixed feelings on. If it's stuff I'm going to use or know people are going to eat, great. Of course, you do have what some people would see as a major downside of not knowing what you're going to get in the bags, in the magic bags on Too Good To Go. But then if you actually look at the whole point of the app, you know that when you sign up, like, you know that you don't know exactly what you're going to get in the bags. In a way that's kind of cool, but in a way it means obviously you don't get a say in what it is. But you can also go get an idea sometimes of what you're going to get when you know the kind of thing that the shop or restaurant, cafe, whatever you serves. So just some thoughts. Now, Too Good To Go I don't think does this, but Olio does this thing where you can see statistics of how much you've saved from going to waste by doing the food collections and giving it to people. I don't know how accurate it is, but it says things like how many meals saved, how much water you've saved. It shows how much money saved as well, which in my case says 0, but why it would say anything else, I don't know. Yeah, again, I don't know how accurate that is, because when you've got multiples of the one ingredient, you can't really make a meal out of that. Anyway, have any of you guys used either of these apps? If so, what do you think of them? And let's have a discussion on that. If you like this video or find it interesting, feel free to hit the like button, share with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and I will see all of you in the next video.